When peace feels unfamiliar, restoration begins here. This is P.I.P.E Podcast.
Welcome back to P.I.P.E Podcast. I'm Ann. Today, I want to talk about something that took me years to learn. Trust. Not just trusting other people, but learning to trust myself again. Learning to trust God, and eventually learning to trust life again. One of the greatest things trauma stole from me wasn't just my peace. It stole my trust. I didn't trust people. I didn't even trust myself. And if I'm being completely honest, there were seasons where I wasn't sure I trusted God either. Broken trust changes the way you see the world. For years, I believed most people couldn't be trusted. I believed people would eventually hurt me, disappoint me, leave me, or take advantage of me. When you live through betrayal, abuse, or heartbreak, your mind begins to try to protect yourself. It tells you to keep your guard up, not to let anyone get too close, not to believe the best in people. For a long time, that's exactly how I lived. But the hardest person for me to trust wasn't someone else. It was me. I questioned my own decisions, my own judgment, my own voice. I wondered, how did I not see it? Why didn't I speak up? Can I trust myself to make good decisions? Those questions followed me everywhere. I didn't realize how much fear had shaped my life until I started healing. Fear had convinced me that everyone would hurt me. Fear convinced me that I wasn't enough. Fear convinced me I couldn't trust my own instincts. But God had another plan. There came a point in my life when I was completely exhausted. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually. I had reached the end of myself. Without pressure, without condemnation, I simply felt God drawing me closer. Not because I deserved it, but because He loved me. I finally became willing to let Him rebuild what had been broken. That didn't happen overnight. I began reading His Word. I began praying for wisdom. I began asking Him to order my steps. And then I had to do something that wasn't always easy. I had to obey. Even when I didn't understand. Even when I was afraid. Even when it felt uncomfortable. Trusting God wasn't one big decision. It looked more like a roller coaster. Some days my faith was strong. Other days my fears were loud. But every time I came back to Him, He was faithful. Little by little, my confidence grew. Not confidence in myself alone. Confidence in the God who was leading me. And the more I trusted Him, the more I began trusting myself. One of the biggest turning points in my healing came when I stopped looking for validation from everyone else. For years, I needed people to tell me I was enough, that I mattered, that I had value. Then I started reading what God had already been saying about me all along. His word says, I am part of a royal priesthood. His word says, I am more than a conqueror. His word says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And something changed inside of me. I stopped believing what other people had spoken over my life. I even stopped believing some of the lies I had spoken over myself. Instead, I started believing what God said about me. And that changed everything. People often ask me, how do you know when God is leading you instead of your fear? For me, it's peace. Fear creates confusion. Fear creates panic. Fear pushes. But God's wisdom brings peace. The more I followed Him, the more His peace became greater than my fears. Do I believe it's possible to trust people again after deep betrayal? Yes, I do. Not because people are perfect, but because God is faithful. I've learned not to put my complete trust in people. I've learned to put my trust in God as He orders my steps. That doesn't mean I'm suspicious of everyone. It means I look for fruit. I look for character. I look for consistency. I've also learned that healthy boundaries don't prevent trust. They protect it. Sometimes loving someone means loving them from a distance. Sometimes trusting yourself means speaking up. Sometimes protecting your peace means saying no. Those aren't signs of weakness. They're signs of wisdom. If you're listening today and you're afraid to trust again, I understand. Maybe you've been hurt. Maybe you've been betrayed. Maybe you're afraid history will repeat itself. Can I ask you a question? What's the cost of staying stuck? Are you willing to spend the rest of your life living in fear? Or are you willing to trust God with one small step? You don't have to trust the whole journey today. Just trust Him with the next step. Looking back now, I wish someone had told me sooner that I was stronger than I believed. I wish someone had told me that my past didn't determine my future. I wish someone had reminded me that I was somebody because God said I was somebody. Learning to trust again has given me the strength to forgive, to love, to hope, to dream again. Most of all, it has taught me that trust isn't supposed to feel painful. Trust isn't supposed to keep you living in fear. Real trust brings peace. Real trust protects your heart. And real trust points you back to God.
Thank you for sitting with us today, where restoration begins.